Hello, and today I want to start my videos about dealing with my cancer diagnosis. So, like it's been around 25 to a month, um, 25 days to a month since I discovered that I have a lump in my left breast. So initially, I thought I didn't want to, you know, let anybody panic, and or it's a big thing telling people that you suspect there's some issue as big as cancer. So I kept quiet about it, but then I thought that um, if I wait for my son's birthday, which is day after, um, with such a thing like cancer, sometimes it can it can boomerang. So I told my kids about it. Both my boys, they were kind of shattered, but I told them that let's be a little. I was very cool when I was telling them, because first of all, when you are dealing with something as devastating as the big C, it's what do I say? Um, there's a feeling that this is not real. Is this really happening? And so many other things. So I after I told my kids, they didn't want to wait even for a nanosecond. They said that we are going to go immediately to the doctor and talk about it. I don't know any oncologist, and since this whole thing pertains to um, gynecology, I went to my gynecologist, and like all the doctors that I've gone to over the years, I've had when I was giving my history at the PET scan place, I was asked, "Have you had any operations?" I said five, and the lady entering the form, she was looking down and writing, and then suddenly she looked up at me. That like five operations, I don't know, I just they happened, and three were for my hand, two C-sections. uh, I never really thought much about it, and in the middle of work, when kids are very young, there's not much time to think about yourself. You have so much going on, you have work, and I used to be a professor, so you can't ask somebody to teach instead of you. You have to finish the syllabus, and it's a private university, so um, the workload, the course content was much more than what the government university here has. So I just went on and on and on. I didn't really I didn't have time to sit back and pontificate, because first of all, I was working because I needed to put my kids in a good school, and second, it wasn't a job I really liked very much. It was a job which was not my favorite option, but the kid's father said that this is what you should do, it's the best thing. And I thought, yeah, maybe I'll have more time, but then it didn't really work out that way. So anyway, coming back to the topic at hand, so as soon as I went to the gynecologist, so I've had the gynecologist telling me which orthopedician to go to, and then I asked his opinion about which ENT specialist I will have to meet, because after 6 years of teaching, like I first taught for 3 years at the undergraduate and postgraduate level, and then I took a break because I lived in the northeast of India after marriage, and in the Annamalais, and there were no like it was difficult, so I didn't work. So afterwards, when I came back to the city, I didn't feel like working because my little one was 2 years old. I mean, 4 months old, and I didn't want to work till he turned two. So I didn't work. So from the first stint in teaching, which was 3 years, I took an 8 year break after that. And when I got back in 2006, um, I met with this accident. So it was kind of drastic. And so life had a very different pace. Mm, and in 2010, I shifted colleges from a private college to a government college, but the workload kind of increased, and there were more students in class, 120 in some divisions. And the freshman year, meaning the first year of graduation, all of them attend in full strength. So around 120, and I had the best division in college, the A division. So again, having 120 students in class with fans on, and it's a subject they are forced to take, economics. So I was talking at a pitch increases automatically, and so many lectures I was taking, like 18 lectures at the undergraduate level, one postgraduate lecture, one lecture for the BBA, international business students, and I was also admin for a online course in banking. All of it. Yes, I was also teaching external students. So that was like by the end of 2 years, I was croaking practically the whole month for a month. And then I said, when I went to the doctor, he said, I think you have to screen for the big C of the throat. So that was my first encounter with, I had to undergo an endoscopy for throat cancer. And that's like, you have to put your tongue really out, and then they put in like a laser camera. I mean, sorry, not a laser camera. It's a camera with a bulb that goes right into your throat and checks everything. It's like the urge not to gag was the urge was to gag, and the point was to not gag. So I ended up passing with flying colors both ways. I didn't gag, and the doctor was quite pleased with how cool I was during the whole thing. And so the diagnosis was no cancer, luckily. Something or the other happened. I left India for some time, and I ended up not teaching. And then somehow I thought it's better to, charity starts at home, and I devoted all my time to my kids, teaching them, because I had not given so much attention to them with such a heavy workload. And I was in exams in the private university. I was in the exam department, and that requires it's a killing schedule. Like 18 hours of teaching plus exam load. You have at least 10,000 papers passing through your hands. I mean, you are responsible for a lot, and I was in charge of central assessment of papers for quite a few terms. Then I was heading exams, which was even worse. So there was no time, and I was like really stretched. Plus, there's after the coursework would get over, every semester I would sit and teach external students. I would teach weak students, teach students with backlogs, students who passed out long back. The 4-7 batch is coming back in 2008 for a backlog, and I'm teaching them. I mean, they come to people who are more kind and right. So I thought that was the least I could do for them. But it was all taking a toll on me. Finally, this year, when I thought like precaution is a better form of valor. And I went and met Dr. Balakrishna, who's my gynecologist, and he said, go for a second opinion to a lady who does mammography. So he said, first let her do a what do you call it, sonography, then you get into mammography, mammogram, sorry. And then if need be, she'll go in for a biopsy. But when I went to the place, she said, no, first mammogram. I said, okay. And honestly speaking, it's not a very, like, I had read about it long back in the Reader's Digest, and it was, this lady was talking about, you know, two cold metal plates, and the breast gets really pressed hard and all that, and it's painful. And I had a notion it could be, I mean, I was apprehensive. But when I went in, they are like toughened plastic plates. There's no steel over there, there's no iron plates, nothing of that sort. It's plastic, and it's, yeah, the room is very, very cold, but, and it's a little, like, you have to stand there without your, like, you have to be top nude. You have to not wear your top or whatever you're wearing. And then they go about it in a very professional manner, kind of. But I didn't like that experience much. Not that I like the sonography or the biopsy much. It was a little, they could have been a little more, they could make the patient relax a little more, because it's a big thing. Initially, when all this started, I was, it's something to do with disfiguring. And then I have been thinking about it and working about it, trying to calm my mind. And I thought, like, you shouldn't hold on to things. There are people with so many issues. I mean, some who think that genetically there is a threat, and I know of a celebrity who's had 2 mastectomies. I mean, like, she's had mastectomy and removed both her breasts. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. And like, my aunt had breast cancer, and she didn't go in for reconstruction. So and beauty, looks, and everything is just a mindset, because invariably, even the most beautiful woman could have somebody saying that she's not enough. Aren't we? I mean, everywhere, if you see somebody, the other is always telling you you're not enough, but you always are enough. And it's not a question of, with nothing. The person who really likes you will see the world in you, and the person who doesn't love you, no matter what you do, to which end of the world you go to help them, or build a family, or like build them up, to bend over backwards to please them, they're never going to be happy. So I thought that I am not going to worry about this, and I'm going to be a little detached about how things might end up. I wanted this to be a hands-free experience, but it's getting a little like my laptop. I don't know what's wrong with its camera. It's not working, and so I'm holding this light and my camera in, like, my one hand, my left hand is holding the camera, and the right hand is holding the light. So it's a little wonky, but I think this will have to go. So that's the first step in the diagnosis, that you will get a mammogram and if they see something in it, they will send you in for sonography, which shouldn't be bad, and uh, biopsy. Now, in the biopsy, they do it with something called a, like, which gives out a loud tuck sound, kind of sound, kind of a sound. So, and I will jerk involuntarily, even if the doorbell rings. And so, first time she said, "There's going to be a noise, don't jerk." I jerked. So then I started, there's this screen right behind my head where I can see where exactly that needle is going into the tumor. So I started concentrating on that, like the Pavlovian dog. Pavlovian. you know, to, like, yeah, now that needle is going to go puncture the tumor, and now I have to, and then I will, there will be this noise, and I am not going to jerk. So then I didn't jerk for the next 3 times. She said she'll be taking she'll be making 5 punches, but she only needed to make 4, and she got enough water. I mean, it's some solution, but I was like, oh boy, boobs are full of water. I mean, sorry for joking, but that's what they extracted. There was mild particles of blood and some floating things in it. Wrigley, Wrigley is kind of. I'm just joking because I don't know, from the time this has started, I don't know why my sense of humor has become highly accentuated, and I can't stop giggling because everybody is looking so like sober and kind of in front of me. So I thought at least I should laugh. So and joke, so that to lighten the situation. I don't know if it's really working or it's boomeranging big time, but it's going on. Okay, then this next step is very important, and that is the PET scan. One thing I'll tell you: don't wear any earrings, any chain, any bangle, or anything, any jewelry, even a safety pin, when you're going for that, because they'll make you remove everything. And actually, the last 2 times I had a CT scan, they put you into that igloo sort of a thing, machine. Both times my hand was, first accident in 2006, ulna and radius were crushed and sticking out of my hand and paining like hell, and the humerus was also broken. So, like, all 3 bones in my right hand were in a big mess. So obviously I'm not going to think about the machine. The hand is driving me crazy. So I didn't remember anything other than my hand. The second time was in 2010. I fainted on the divider on the road, and my left hand was it was like there's blood congealed right from my armpit to my wrist, inside of my wrist. It was like deep red turning purple. Okay, so massive pain, and they wanted to check why I fainted on the middle of the divider. Actually, I had to skip breakfast that day because somebody had not done their work, and I had to stand in and do their work. And after that, there was no time to eat breakfast. I had to go for a 3-hour session of invigilation. There was some exam going on, and I had to invigilate that day. By the end of it, I was so tired. I called up home and I said, please come and pick me up, because he had a holiday that day. It was a Monday. He said, no, you come home because I'm busy. He's busy with something. By the time I reached the engineering college gate, like there's an engineering college there on the campus, and I was crossing the road. That's the last thing I remember. Next I remember is some poor mechanic from a auto repair, 2-wheeler repair shop from opposite the Khusrowadia gate, was picking me up. And so I was taken to hospital, and I had to, second time I was meeting a neurosurgeon. First time also the accident was like, first thing I remember is hitting my head on the curb and thinking, oh, this is how we die, and nothing else I could think of. Like, they say, oh, your entire life flashes in front of your eyes when you're going to die. Nothing. Take it from me. You think of nothing. My kid was crying so much in the morning, he didn't want me to go to school, but I didn't even have time to think about them. All I thought was, oh, this is how it happens. And I fainted. I came back in maybe a minute, and the first thing in 2006. And what I remember is, why can't I get up? Because my right hand is not there to, prop me up. And that's a very different story, because when you don't have three bones in your right hand, it extends like an elastic, Mrs. Elastic. And the hand extends beyond your knee, and it rotates in 360 degrees, and you feel like, oh, this is another version of being like, it's like a scene in The Exorcist, a kind of a movie where your hand extends below your knee and it is moving 360 degrees. And then I take my left hand, lift my right hand, and keep it on my lap, and I sit down. Yeah, like, in retrospect, you can only laugh, but when you're going through it, actually, I had no time to think. Even now, there's like, I don't know, I don't want to brood about it, I don't want to cry about it. I'm just trying to tell you what to expect. So for the PET scan, like I said, I have had 2 CT scans, but I don't remember a thing from those 2. And so if you've been asked to go for a PET scan, remember that you wear 0 ornaments, and even your hair, you tie it with something totally plastic or totally cloth or totally elastic, without any kind of clip or anything. So yeah, I had to remove everything, and they'll make you remove your bra, because it has a hook with which is metallic, unless you have a bra with a plastic hook, which I did have for some time. When I broke my right hand, the hook used to be in the front, because my hand was in a mess. I couldn't reach at my back, reach my back and wear a hook, so it was in the front, clasp and plastic. It's plastic. It was fantastic, kind of thing. Okay, so coming back to and being serious. So and usually you're not supposed to eat for at least a minimum of 5 hours before you undergo the procedure. So the day of the PET scan, eat very early, and I sincerely hope you don't have diabetes. Then I don't know what they do. So because you have to be nil by mouth. You can have water, but you cannot eat anything till the scan gets over, and it takes time, because they inject you with some there's an injection you have to undergo, and don't let it scare you. They say it's radiation, but it's nothing. And after the injection, you have to wait for it to spread all over the body, and then they put a blue dye or something, and it shows up. It shows your entire body gets scanned for any kind of anomaly, any kind of problem, any kind of lump, any kind of whatever. So the entire history, geography, and the history and geography of your body is there. It's quite interesting to see the slides. You can see where exactly the problem is, and how much it has spread. And so in my case, since it has spread to 2 lymph nodes, they have to act fast. And they said that they're going to start with um, um, chemo, and at my convenience and at the earliest if possible. No point in waiting, because Madam Cancer doesn't have it works 24/7, 365. But like, it's trial and error with food, and I'm trying that. So I have reduced my carbs, anything that will convert to sugar. No, I'm not cut down carbs totally, but I've reduced it quite a bit. I'm eating vegetables and protein. I'm also avoiding fruits with too much of sugar content in them, and I'm eating nuts like never before. So from being a mildly nutty professor, I can go rogue to rogue levels of being a nutty professor. Okay, jokes apart. This is my experiment. You don't really need to go so drastic, and especially if you're diabetic, you can't get syncope episodes. Like, you can't faint, you can't if diabetic patients faint, they could go in, their blood sugar falls to a very drastic level, then it could they could become comatose, and that's really scary. So don't try anything drastic. But today the doctor said that they say don't eat sugar, but because that's easy. What they don't tell you is exercise a lot, because that's difficult and nobody wants to do it. So I thought those were very wise words, and I'm going to try that also. Weights. And since I don't like exercise a lot, I think I might take up some form of Zumba or something like that. But otherwise, I feel the first thing is do not get scared and not Google. Yeah, I'm not being Googling, because that just adds. And then I believe if you're thinking of it all the time, it likes it, no? Any parasite has this attention seeking mentality. Okay, so if you don't think about too much, live your life, and it's like being born again. You've been given a wake up call by nature. Of course, I've not been exercising, I've been eating junk, and I've been kind of a little focusing on all the wrong things. So it's like a wake up call to get up and do your thing in a different way. And like, I remember in 88, when I was in 11th grade, my dad met with this, he was a chain smoker, and he met with this, he had this major heart attack, and it was purely because he was a chain smoker. He was smoking when he got the attack. So not only my dad, we all went through a lifestyle change. Like every Sunday, we used to have mutton biryani made with clarified butter, because there was a lot of clarified butter at home all the time, because we bought buffalo milk right from the farm. I used to buy it from this farmer right next to the Air Force station where I grew up, and it was such thick milk. It had oodles of fat in it, and there was always white butter and whitish clarified butter. So that went into the into everything, and every Sunday was mutton biryani. That was the menu, and then it changed so drastically. Very little oil, fulkas instead of flatbread with oil in it, and I also started eating and no coconut, which was something I liked, because my parents are from South India, Kerala, and there's coconut in everything. I don't like it much. I never liked it much, other than like some things in which, like non-veg with coconut in it, I love it. But vegetarian food, vegetables with coconut in it. Not a fan. So I was like, okay, I'll eat whatever Papa eats. Plus, I used to make food quite often because my mom used to go for trips, some wedding or some tragedy, or then there was a court case. There was a court case which was going on and on and on. My parents would go. It was a civil case, property my dad owned, and the tenant had given a case against my granddad, and then after he passed, it went on to my dad because my dad inherited the house and shop and all that. So a lot of going to Kerala they would do, and I would cook. So I would cook with very minimum oil. Even in after marriage, that is from 98 onwards, my rule was 1 liter of oil for the whole month. If oil gets over, I make oil-free food. And but there was a lot of issues in the marriage, and I was quite sad. And you're living in with insurgency, dacoits, bombings, 10 gun being shoved in my face, and in-laws also have their own issues, and I was not being allowed to work. It was a mega thing. So plus timings, people who manufacture tea, they sleep from sometime around after 3 to 6. 6 Kamjari starts, that is work starts. 6 to 9 they work, then they come home for breakfast, go back again, they come back for lunch around 12:30, 1:30 something. They get 2 hours of rest. Most of them sleep. So when lordship was sleeping, I had one child by then, elder one, and we would be outside, tiptoeing around. So and then again, go back to work, come back for lunch, dinner, sleep for 1 hour or so, and then go back, because tea is manufactured from 11 in the night till 3 a.m. So my sleep also went for a toss. Like, the bungalow was right next to the factory, and you can hear all that noise. Sometimes you feel there's some riot going on because they make so much of noise. And so it's volatile, you never know when you're going to die. So every Diwali time, all of India celebrates, and you never know who will get killed there, because if the company is going through a downswing and bonus has been cut, so many people get killed. Even now, a year back, a doctor who had actually retired but had not left work on the estate because nobody had come to replace his or take over his post, because nobody wants to work there. It's a risk to life, and it's so far away from town and all the amenities. Nobody wants to work there. Again, there's, like I said, biggest thing is risk to life. So he didn't nobody took that post up. And since all the executives were away, the only executive on the estate at that time when the agitation started was a doctor, and they stoned him to death. And it was terrible because they don't understand. The insurgents instigate them that companies are bad, but companies aren't bad. All the companies give free education, free medical, even free firewood and free, ration, meaning rice, dal, wheat, oil, kerosene, whatever they need, everything the company provides. They don't even send their kids to school many a time, though it is totally free. They don't even avail of the medical facilities, even though it is totally free, because that's a lot of insurgents, Naxal talk, that if you're uneducated, you're going to listen to I don't know why they have they have an enmity with the management of companies, and the government of India, but they listen to the insurgents because I don't know what the hold is, and it's sad that not so much. They're not making enough documentaries to help those people understand what the real problem is. So anyway, I've gone way off the track, but yes, like if there's so much of stress of that kind, if you look at Assam, it's got the highest incidence of cancer. And I mean, after going there, I changed most of the food habits they had. They don't eat bran. In the wheat they eat is as fine as refined flour that you use for making cake. So whole wheat is something I introduced, and I was getting mocked for it all the time. I mean, I try to be as healthy as possible, eat organic all of the time. I mean, I'm the butt of jokes for going on and advocating about organic food all the time. But still, whatever said and done, I'm still going to be an advocate for organic food, which is chemical free, and it's good for the environment, it's good for us. So I don't mind being the butt of jokes as long as my message reaches out to everyone. And Mr. Gates, hopefully, since he's the largest owner of, I mean, he has the largest land holding in America. If he converts all his farmland into agricultural produce, imagine what that would mean to the poor in America. Organic and vegetables should be cheap so that the poor can afford it easily, like it used to be in India. Now vegetables prices have skyrocketed, but even then, green leafy vegetables, they still are affordable. So even if you eat just green leafy vegetables on a regular basis, if you're going through a downsing and all, you can get by. So after the PET scan, the results came in, and now I have to start with chemo, because since it has reached a lymph node, and the lymph system, you know how it is, nah? The whole body gets covered, and it has a propensity to spread and fast. So the doctor is a very cool gentleman, and Dr. Hegde, and he said, don't worry about anything, just live the way you have, eat everything that you've been eating, and cool it. So the first step that's gonna start now is chemo. So today, and I've decided I'll go and cut my hair day after, or the day after that, and then I'll keep talking about my journey and my fight against the big C. That's cancer. It used to be such a frightening, people cry and everybody crying, and I don't feel like doing that. Sorry. I mean, it has to sink in yet fully, but even if it sinks in fully and whatever, crying is not a solution. And I'll tell you one more thing. If you cry, which I do sometimes, but if you cry, especially me, if I cry even a little bit, my nose starts running like crazy. And what happens is, that's mucus that can cause cancer. So try, I mean, if it helps you, sit and cry, but then pick yourself up from there and fight. Be a warrior. Some people feel I'm not facing it, I'm putting on a false front. No, this is me. I am. When I don't need to be, I can be ice cool. And sometimes when I need to be cool about things, I cannot shut up about injustice, about academics and the politics there. And was. Mhm. I have just understand that I have, with all my writing and my talking out of turn, I have genres of enemies all over. Mhm. Anyway, doesn't matter. You should be judged by the enemies you've made. Oh, that's jokes apart. Take care. Thank you for viewing and stay tuned for my next update with my fight against the pixie, and that is cancer. You tumor. Okay, bye and take care. Mwah.